Hi, I'm Tim,
I'm Lizzie.
and we are To Play,
Or not.
To Play, a show about board games for two players.
Whose tastes may differ.
Hi everybody.
Hello.
Okay, so this week we've been looking at My City. This is a 2 to 4 player game by Cosmos Games. It's designed by Rainer Knizia.
That's easy for you to say.
No, not at all. This is a legacy game, if you don't know this game.
I've never heard of Legacy.
No, I'm going to say this is a whole new thing to us. We've not played legacy games before, actually. So you may not have done. A legacy game pretty much means that the game will change over time from the very first game, usually.
Irreversible.
Irreversible changes, yeah. I mean, there are things. Again, we don't want to spoil this for you
No
if
spoilers.
you're
Spoiler-free
playing.
video.
But literally, the game will change from the very first game you play and then onwards, and it will never go back to the way it was when it started.
Which is really cool.
It is a cool concept. If you've not come across that before, very unusual. So the way that this game plays, this is it's like a tile laying. They call it a polyomino game.
That's easy for you to say as well.
Game. Bit of a tongue twister, but yeah, a bit like Tetris in the old style, if you know that game. So you've got these weird shapes, and you've got to fit them into your grid in a way that they, legally are allowed to be placed. So with the game, you've got a board. There are two versions of this game. I'll just say that quickly. The legacy version, which is the one which changes over time, and there's a version called the Eternal version as well, where on the flip side of the board, it's kind of, I think it's just having a quick look at it, it's kind of halfway along the journey, or a couple of chapters into the evolving game. So so you can play that forever without changing your game, or you can play this.
It's good they've got two options.
Legacy.
Well,
Yeah, it is actually, because you don't want to kind of run the game out
rather than just having one avenue.
Sure, yeah. The way that the game plays is you've got your board. It's got some rocks and trees and forests and mountains and river running through
River runs through it.
River runs through it. Brad Pitt. Is that right?
Is it? I don't know.
Don't know. I have to check that.
MDB.
So you select a card from this stack of cards, and all the stack of cards have images of the buildings that you've got. There are three types of buildings: residential, industrial, and
public building.
Yes, indeed.
And something else.
That's it. Public buildings. So public, residential, and industrial. And you've got to lay these out.
Industrial
So all the cards in the stack that you shuffle up and place on the table are identical to these buildings, and you've both got the same buildings in your set of tiles.
I like that. You've both got.
It's quite you've got exactly the same playing
task
field.
ahead,
You've got to say a level playing field, but the way that you play
choices,
it. Yeah, of course. Clever. So you turn over the top card of the shuffled deck, and it may be the L-shaped yellow building. It's a residential building. So you both select that building from your collection of tiles, and you look at it and you think, where will I put this on the board? And there are a couple of limitations to that. You must, for instance, the first tile must be adjacent to the river, and then all the other tiles you place next to that after has to be adjacent to that tile and or another one further in.
It can't be on the river. Like going across the river.
Can't go across the river. So you
on
can be adjacent to. You can't.
A forest.
You can't be on a forest. You can't be on a mountain.
Yeah.
You can and want to cover rocks, loose rocks. You don't, but can cover trees, because further on in the game, when you start to score, rocks become minus points and trees become positive points. So you want to kind of leave the trees alone.
But straight away after the first go, it's interesting because we've both placed it in completely different places.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, cool, right, okay.
After the first tile. In fact, what you're supposed to do. Again, we kind of house ruled this really. We just didn't look at each other's board while we were playing. But you're supposed to look at the tile, select in your mind where you're going to play it, and then 1, 2, 3, go, kind of place the tile at the same time.
Basically,
so you don't copy each other. But I mean, we just
copied it a little bit.
No, you never. So you place your tile, and then you draw the next card. Both players select that tile, place the tile legally, and so on. It just goes on through the game like that.
It's quite a simple thing to do, isn't it?
Well, concept.
No, the
concept.
Of
very simple.
Lay this tile.
Yeah.
Lay this tile.
Such an easy game to pick up.
Yeah. What's that? A minute to pick up, lifetime to master.
Othello. Very good. So it is pretty much the same. So yeah, the way that the game plays then, so you lay out these tiles and you populate the board, and then you score according to the chapter that you're playing. So there are 24 episodes. Yeah, there are 24 episodes split into 8 chapters. So 3 episodes per chapter. And because it's a legacy game, the chapters are in envelopes. Yeah, hidden away. So things that you find in these envelopes will change the game as you go along. So you don't know what they are until you open that envelope and go into the next chapter. So you play the first chapter. The first chapter is 3 games, and that obviously you open that in the very first game you play.
Yeah.
But you only look at the first episode. And the first episode just basically tells you this rule of don't cover the rocks.
Don't cover the rocks.
Don't cover the rocks, don't cover the trees for your best benefit, because then you'll score that way. So that's pretty much the first chapter. First episode. No, exactly. You need to know that to play the game.
Yeah.
And then the second episode will change something along those lines. So it might say, I'm not going to say what, it might say, don't cover the rocks.
Yeah.
It doesn't say that, but for instance, it could say that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just need to read the rules for the next episode to see how you will play the second game. So because each little game it takes 30 minutes.
It's 30 minutes.
I mean, yeah, probably that's probably right.
That's going to be per episode, isn't it?
No, yeah, per episode. Yeah. But I don't think it was that even. It was probably 15 to 20 minutes. So it's quite a quick game.
About an hour for a chapter, maybe.
Yeah, I would think so for 3 games, because they encourage you to play each chapter 3 episodes.
Yeah, otherwise you get to see what envelope you've opened.
Well, and also what the scoring is, because you're adding on this extra kind of layer of score in each go. So around the edge of your board, you've got this score chart, 1 to 50, and you start on 10, because obviously, even in your first episode, you could be losing points.
Yeah, if you don't cover the
rocks. If you don't cover the rocks, you lose points. So you're going to start on 10, and then you could minus down.
Which we did.
Yeah.
A little bit.
There are a couple of places in the game where you can lose points immediately. So for instance, if you've picked a tile that so draw off the deck and it says pick up your red L-shaped building, and you look at it and think, oh, crumbs, I can't play that. If you can't play it, you have 2 choices. And it depends where you are in that actual game, if you like, that episode. Depends what you do. So you can either pass that go, which case you just turn that tile face down, you can't play it, and you lose 1 point. That's the way to go if you're playing sort of fairly early on. But if you're near the end of that session, that episode, you could say, right, I'm not going to play that tile, and in fact I'm not going to play any more tiles, because you might only have 2 or 3 left, and you'll think, I'm going to struggle with all of those.
And I'll pass on all of them and get minus 3 points.
Yeah, exactly. So rather than pass on all of them, get minus 3 points, you just pass on the rest of that that episode, and then you don't lose points. The other person can carry on
from the round.
Yeah, the other person can carry on and populate their board if they can. But at least you don't lose points every time you fail to place your tile. And then that's pretty much. So there's ways of losing points is the point I'm making. The point I'm making. So you start with 10. You might end up with minus
106 or
a couple of
5,
points. At the end of the session, and then you score according to your episode. What the episode says. So like I say, in the first one, if you've left trees uncovered, you get 1 point for each tree. So when there are 2 trees on a square, that's 2 points, not 1 point, it's 2 trees, so 2 points there. So if you've left all your 5 trees squares open, that's 10 points, because there are 2 in each one. So 10 points, add that on your score. And then if you've got any rocks covered, great. If you've got some rocks uncovered, minus 1 point, so you take those off. And you always score kind of in sequence, going down the list of scoring rules, and then the other person does the same. And basically, the person who's in first place gets the chance to maybe colour in some of these little nodules on the board. So there are lots of little round circles that need to be basically ticked off. You can either colour them in or put an X in. You put an X and I coloured them in, but just to be different. But yeah, you basically earn the right to check those off, and they're kind of just little markers, really, that say that's your progress along.
And this is like you're writing.
You're writing on the board.
You're
scary.
Like,
I'm like,
don't do that.
I want to write it on a pad of paper. But that's the whole point. Yeah, that is the whole point of the game.
So,
so that's one spoiler for you, but it's not a big spoiler, but it's just like basically the board becomes the score pad that you normally write on a pad. the board is the pad, basically. So you just check off your little bits if you're the first place.
It's a good way of tracking the score. Really,
yeah, it's quite nice. And so after the first game, whatever you might be, 2 of those marked off. Your actual points that you score in the game go away after that episode. So if I got 24 and you've got 15, I win. I might get two check offs of my little circles, and then you just wipe the board and that's it.
You start from 10 again, don't you?
You start from 10 again for the next episode, yeah. And so, but I'm 10 plus my 2 little marks, say, and then I guess as the game goes along, you can just increase those. If you ever do score up to,
we haven't played.
No, we've only played the first
so,
chapter, so 3 episodes, because we didn't want to kind of spoil it accidentally for you guys. And also we're looking forward to the journey, really. If you do score around to 50 and get to that point, there is a little marker there, one of the little circles, and it means that you don't lose or add any. I can't remember what the exact rule is because we've not got to 50, but
we haven't got to 50.
It's locked in, basically, is what that means. But that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Reviewing the scores?
Yeah. I was going to just quickly say,
okay,
before we get to the scores, as a 2-player, we kind of noticed there's a little bonus for you. Because it's a 2 to 4 player game, you get 4 boards.
You do.
And obviously the boards change forever as you go. So if there were 4 of us playing, those boards would change forever, and that would be that. Yeah. On the flip side, you've got the Eternal game, great, but you can never play the from scratch episodes of the Legacy. But because we're playing this as a 2-player, we've got 2 boards that we've not touched. So we're playing the bear and the wolf board at the moment, but there's also an eagle and a stag board. And they're untouched in our game because we're playing as a 2-player. So when we finish the whole campaign, we can go back and do it all over again from scratch on those 2 blank boards. So, and of course there are enough items in the Legacy sort of part of the game to cover for 4 players because it's a 4-player game. So there are going to be enough bits and bobs, whatever they are, without spoiling again. There are going to be enough bits and bobs to play that game over again. So that is a whole nother. I've never heard anybody mention this, and we only kind of thought about it.
Point if you're playing as a 2.
Yeah, we can play the whole Legacy game again.
There's basically 2 Legacy games. In one.
And then the Eternal game on the other side. So there you go, top tip for you.
Big package.
Yeah, I know, it's great. So there we go. So this has it has touched both of us.
It's a good lockdown game.
Yeah. No, lockdown's nearly over, but yeah, it is. And it's quite hard to get hold of. It was for a while, so hopefully you can get hold of this one. But and it's brand new, so it's obviously selling well.
I think it looks really good as well.
It's a really sweet looking game. Very simple to play. My score. Or do you want to score first?
No.
Okay.
What do you like about it?
Well, I like the fact it's a tile laying game.
Obviously.
Yeah. So
Tim tile handling.
Yeah. It's colourful, it's simple. I like the Legacy side of it.
I really like the Legacy side of it, and because I like more kind of secret games like escape games and mystery games.
Yeah.
The fact that you've got 8 sealed envelopes.
That's true. Yeah.
That are a surprise each time.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Right up your Strasser, isn't it?
Yeah, Strasser.
Yeah, cool.
So it meets us both. You've got tiles and you've got like a bit of mystery too. So.
Yeah, Legacy games are obviously our thing, so we should get some more Legacy games. We haven't got any Legacy games apart from this one, so yeah.
And it's just a bit different, isn't it? It's like not just a tile laying game, it's Legacy, so it's a bit different.
Absolutely right. Well, so my score for this one then, I'm going to give this 7.5.
Are you?
Yeah, I really like it. I mean, it's I would score higher, but obviously I'm wary that after we played the Legacy game, we won't play it much. But that's not necessarily true. But
it's still a good score, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. But if it wasn't a Legacy game, I like it enough to say that it's a good fun game. Yeah. Maybe 8 or something, because the Legacy bit, I'm thinking, well, maybe it's got a finite game shelf game life. Shelf life game life.
Well, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah. Well, as do I. So what was 7.5 and 8? That's 15.5. Okay, that's pretty good. That's better than our average game. Yeah. So and another thing that you like about it is this polyomino thing as well.
Yeah. So like Barron Park was in my top 10.
Barron Park, yeah.
So I liked trying to fit it in.
Very similar kind of feel.
I played called Woody Puzzle. That's very similar to that as well.
Yeah.
This is much better.
Yeah, good, cool. So there you go then. So My City, the Legacy game.
Give it a go.
15.5. Yeah, definitely recommend this one.
Yeah.
Check it
both
out.
High scores for both of us. So it's meeting us both.
Yep, definitely right. Check it out, and also take our top tip. Okay, the dog's lapping up his water now.
On that note, the dog's having a drink, so I'll say goodbye.
Time to go. Hi, Trooper.
Hi, Trooper.